Hey everyone, welcome back to this lecture. So here I want to show you the different panels and windows Blender has and different properties, but I'm not going to go through details that much because I don't want to overwhelm you, but I'm just going to do a quick glance so you know what we're going to be dealing with in the future. So first I'm going to show you this top portion over here. We have a bunch of windows over here for different operations because Blender can do animation, modeling, sculpting, different types of things. But mainly for Minecraft animation, right, we're going to be using layout, which is where we are right now. But if I go ahead and click on modeling, it's going to jump me to this modeling section, and we're going to learn basic modeling in the future chapters as well. But we can ignore modeling. What we need is layout. We need animation because it's going to create a very convenient space for when we're working with animation and production. And we also need the compositing, because compositing can give us a lot of cool effects and post-production effects in the future. So again, we need layout, animation, and compositing, and you can ignore basically the rest. You can also delete them if you want to, but you don't have to do that for now. Now, if you want to delete, for example, like texture paint, because we're never going to use that, you can go ahead here. This is the texture paint. You can right click and then click on delete. And now it's going to delete the texture paint and it's going to jump it in the window which is next to it. So I'm going to go back to layout. We're going to spend like 80% of the time here. And you can also customize the layout, create different windows, customize these windows to your liking. And we're going to do that in the upcoming lectures as well. So don't worry about those. And below this menu, we have a bunch of different buttons over here. I'm not going to go through those. I'm going to explain those step by step in the future lectures. And then we can ignore those for now. Now on the right side, we have the small thing called the outliner. Outliner is very important to keep our projects organized. Right now, we only have cube, camera, and light, but when you have a lot of objects and characters, this is going to be pretty cluttered, so it's very important to know how to organize this. Now, if I select the cube, as you can see, it's selected in the outliner. If I select the point light, it's going to be selected in the outliner. If I want to select my camera, I can go ahead and do it from here, or I can do it from the outliner as well. And you can do the same thing with other objects. So if I select an object in the outliner, so if I left click on an object, it's going to be selected in the viewport, and that's pretty handy. And it's inside this collection, and we're going to be using collections in the future lectures to organize this. But for now, you can just leave it as it is. Under this, we have a bunch of properties, which are also very important. Now, some properties always appear, but some properties appear only when you select an object. For example, I don't have any material properties over here. But if I select the cube, as you can see, I have a bunch of new properties. We have material properties and object data properties and all the other stuff. So if I select the camera, I'm going to have the camera properties and all the other properties enabled. But if I select the light, I'm going to have the light properties enabled. So some properties appear and disappear depending on the object, and some properties stay no matter which object you select. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you all the different properties we have. So we have the render properties, where we have the render engine. We have two main render engines. We have Eevee and Cycles. Eevee is more fast, it's real time, it's used for games, quick previews, but also it's getting a lot better, and some people are using it to do final animations. But I mostly use Cycles because it gives realistic results. It has ray tracing, which means it has realistic reflections, and it just looks very, very nice. But downside is that it takes a lot of time to render, and Eevee renders a lot faster. So I'm going to go ahead I'm going to select Eevee, and then I'm going to switch this to Cycles, because for the rest of this animation, for the rest of this course, I'm going to be using Cycles. But if you have a slower computer, I recommend you keep Eevee. So I'm going to switch this to Cycles. And if I change this to Cycles, I have different options over here, which we're going to change later on. We have sampling, we have denoise, and all the other stuff. You don't have to worry about those if you're a complete beginner. We also have the output properties, where we need to save the final animation. We can leave the settings as is for now. You can go ahead and click on view layer. We have different layers, different effects we can apply. And we also have the other properties, which we don't really need to go through at the moment. But yeah, you get the idea. We have different properties, and we're going to learn those properties as we go on. And lastly, if you go under, we have the timeline. So if I press on spacebar, or if I press on play over here, we're going to play the timeline, and it's going to play whatever animation I create throughout this course. So right now we don't have any animations because we haven't animated any objects. But if we do, you can press on either spacebar or press on play and then play it forward. You can also play it backwards, and we have a lot of controls, which again, we're going to go through in future lectures as well. So those are the main things I wanted to show you. You have different panels here, different options over here. We have the outliner, we have properties, and we have the timeline. And we're going to be using that quite often when we're moving around and creating animations. But we're going to spend most of the time here in the layout, in the viewport, So you can get familiar with that and you don't have to worry about any other windows for now. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you how to create and delete objects, which is pretty easy. So yeah, go ahead and click on the next lecture and good luck.